Welcome to Sirius XM. How may I direct your call?
Sexual, spiritual, sexual, offended all, sexual, spiritual, all like hell. The name of God, my breasts, my white shining legs, my vagina, my ass are all godly. Breast in Hebrew is shad. God in Hebrew is Shaddai. Shaddai in Hebrew also means my breasts. God and my tits. My tits inside God. My tits are godly. My tits are God.
I just thought that was a really ridiculous opening. It means nothing in the big scheme of stuff, but
Anytime
I just thought
you
it
hear that
was
clip,
fun.
give me any reason.
I
Hey,
know.
how about Emily Stern in Shanghai Surprise 2?
So that, for anybody who doesn't know, that was Emily Stern in her off Broadway debut, off Broadway debut.
Off adjacent.
And then it was like in Brooklyn, I think. And Bon Jovi had made that opening like forever ago. And I was going through some stuff on our shared drive. And I came across that and I just thought it would be super silly. Okay, so hi, everyone. Welcome to Saturday night here at Gunkdom. And we decided to do a show today. Just kind of, I guess it was Sarah or Fudgicle?
Yeah, it was Sarah, both.
Okay.
Sarah started, and then Fudgicle was going. You know, they're always cyber sleuthing in a boff Steve S kind of way. And
Yeah.
Sarah, that's who are these podcasts you listen to at work, and found this nugget.
You know, I tagged them in the thing that I said we were going to be talking about Shuli and the Pelican Brief tonight. And you know what? I kind of wanted to kick myself in the ass about it because I realized that all the people that we've talked to, we've never once asked them what the repercussions were from the release of the Pelican Brief. Not so much that day and how did everybody feel, but, you know, cut to whatever, how many years after it was released?
It's 13. This is 9 years now. Jesus
9 years,
Christ,
right?
yeah.
Cut to 9 years later. What were the ramifications when they found out that it was released?
It was made 9 years ago. The release of it was,
2 years ago?
let's say
3
years ago, three and a half years ago.
Okay. God bless whoever actually was the person that released that. But I just love the entirety of the whodunit of it. And I love that he himself brought it up on Who Are These Podcasters. So, and I know that, can we just call them WATP? That's fine, right?
Yeah.
I know they're like super, super John haters and...
That's the gist of this interview. It's about John's lawsuit with Sirius, and he's suing them. John is suing them. So it's sort of dovetailed into this. That's how that spawned them.
Who's suing who?
John is suing Who Are These Podcasts?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So he had that guy. Remember the guy Vince, who was on John's show? He kind of replaced Royce, and he's tough. He's really tough to read. This guy. He was John's lawyer, or a lawyer John knew, and he sat in on his show, and they had, you remember you were doing John's show a lot? He would vacillate between the two of you, and Vince would kind of, people thought he was trolling him, and I don't really know what his motivations were, and he's kind of breaking his balls, and he's a bit of a ball buster, and he did this show with Shuli. So he really is the reason why he facilitated this interview in a way. He got to the Pelican Brief. Vince.
Chuckacott is saying he's threatening to sue. Not that he
whatever.
has. So just so you know, today at around 2 o'clock, I did an interview with Brent, a.k.a. Bort. And we went through some interesting things. I'm going to probably release it as its own separate entity. I don't know, Bon Jovi is going to grab it and just see if it needs any tweaking or whatever. There were a couple of little tidbits because you know how we love to get into, like, you know, our happiest interview would be if we interviewed like Howard's cleaning woman or something,
right,
that we would know what every single room in the house looks like.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we started talking about different people who handle different things. And I wanted his spin on what his thoughts were about the Shuli discussion from yesterday. So we'll play a little bit of that.
Can I ask you, when did you decide to? How did you get on? That's really deft of you, and the Mon Vivant skills to get Brent. How did you do that in such short notice? And when did you do it?
You know what? After I heard the interview that you guys posted, which I listened to, and I don't even think I knew it was there because we were trying to think
Yes.
of what we were going to do for tonight. We were wanting to do a show. I found Monique
you're gonna
because I
do
was
that.
listening to
A
her on
weekend
John's show.
show.
Oh, that's amazing. I didn't know that, Ida. I had no idea.
Oh my God! Thank you, Greenbacks.
Yeah, wait.
You were
So
really people loved you on John's show too. As far as like just it was again, that's where the wedding video, and you gotta post that because people will love John's wedding video.
I promise.
Go
I
on,
know,
yep.
but it's a little John pro quo, and you know that. So
Yeah,
just
yeah,
give me a
well,
little
I think
while,
it's
and I
worth it.
promise you. Oh my God, we were talking about what do we want to do for a show tomorrow. I think it fell into our lap. And sure enough, I listened to the entirety of that interview that you guys had, and I was like, fuck, I can't believe that I didn't think to myself to ask Brent about any fallout from the
Oh,
Pelican
Monique,
Brief.
you only had a little time with him. It's how many
I
things
know.
you gonna? You need 3
So I
hours.
immediately texted him and I said, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? Do you want to go live with us when we do a show about this clip? And then I sent him your SoundCloud thing, and he was at some concert. And he's like, I'm at a concert now. I can't, I'm not even really thinking about it. And I said, you know what? How about we'll just record a separate thing anyway? And then if you can talk to what Shuli said, that would be awesome. And that's what he did.
That's great.
So I think a little bit of it, which I'll just tease a little bit, because I'll save it for the full interview portion. But we started talking about how many people it takes to book guests on that show that have nothing to do with Gary or
stuff.
Jason. How many people does it take to write information for Howard when he's doing an interview? I mean, I love this shit. you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, me
so
too. I love this stuff.
I know you do. I know
Nobody,
you do.
well, nobody asks it. You're right. It should be asked all the time when
All
you
the time.
access to these people.
All the time about him coming back to the studio. Like we did a lot of talk about that. So that'll be an interesting portion of it, but that has nothing to do with the task at hand, which is to talk about what Shuli said about the Pelican Brief and how we should just proceed with it. So let's start that. Here
He
we go.
wouldn't talk to me, and then he would go on his show and claim.
So basically, he cut in at the point where I guess he's talking about Stuttering John.
Yes.
And how I can't believe how they keep going back to the well on this. It's really kind of shocking to me, even that Shuli continues to talk about it. But okay, here we go.
that I leaked a summit video of the Sirius summit meeting, and then he wouldn't, and then he wouldn't talk to me again, and then he'd send me a DM asking what hotel we're staying at in LA, that he's going to come and
Hold on,
and get
Shuli.
us.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So when he said that you're the one who leaked that video, you were still an employee of the Howard Stern Show and of Sirius.
100%.
And
100%.
saying that could have obviously put your job in jeopardy. I assume that he then went on and apologized for that mistake.
Never
what?
once.
Wait, what?
Once. Not only that, there was another thing he said. Now, I'm not going to bring it up because the person's still employed there, but he accused somebody there of something, and this person came to me in a panic. They're going, I cannot lose this job. I don't know what he's talking about. I've never fucking talked to this guy. I've never.
Oh, I know that
It's
is.
not somebody
Who?
from
What do you
his
think?
past.
Mehmet. That's Mehmet.
How come? Like, what's the?
He and Royce. I listened to John's show a lot, especially back then. I mean, I don't listen a ton as much now with politically, but back when he was fixating on Howard, he and Royce were calling Mehmet at the show, and they started this thing where they were pretending he was a leak, or maybe he was, and they were perpetuating this rumor that Mehmet was their leak. And so I'm 90% sure Mehmet came up to him in a panic with no leverage. Like, Mehmet has no clout or leverage there. He can get
Yeah,
fired
right.
any minute. So it has to be him.
Okay, here we go.
That he knew this was somebody he had never face-to-face interacted with before, and he accused them of something, and this person
He had never
Was
met
going-
this person before.
Mehmet.
never
Yeah.
And this person's like, what do I do? What if they call me in the office? And I go, nobody listens to this fucking guy, so don't worry. If
That's
I didn't
bullshit.
get,
But even less people listen to you, Shuli. Just throwing it out there.
Well, the way
Just
he's
trying.
describing this guy is Mamet really doesn't know John. He doesn't know him at all. He knows very little about him. I don't think he's a sense of history of the show. He probably knows a little bit about John, but it's got to be Mamet. Now I'm 100% sure.
Okay, I like it.
I was listening, and I know that he never necessarily said it.
sorry,
You were
nobody
the actual.
normal listens to this guy.
Right.
Go ahead.
He never said that you were the actual leak, but he was sort of implying it from my recollection that potentially you would have been. So, and then he was also implying that I guess Marcy was hooking up with somebody else or something like that, something to that effect.
That is true.
I don't know if that's what you're referring to, but
No,
truly,
that
when
wasn't.
after that summit video was leaked, was there any talk in the office about it?
Oh yeah.
There had to be,
I
right?
don't know.
No, there was a meeting where it's funny. They did this like good cop, bad cop, worse cop routine.
What do you mean?
Where so we're all in the studio, right? This is fine. I've never told this before. This is why he's a fucking lawyer, this piece of shit.
He's good.
So we're in the studio after the show, and the amount of times everyone gets called into the studio after the show to be told you guys are doing a great job is zero.
Right.
So everybody's nervous.
See that?
And it opens up with I'm trying to think. Howard was not there, number one. This was the upper tier management. And it starts with Marcy, and she's the good cop, and she's going, some stuff has come out. We have an idea, where this came from. But if anybody here, if it was an accident, if whatever, now's your chance. Come talk to us. We'll work this out. She's like, listen, I don't believe anybody here would do something like this. That's just and everybody's like,
You know what I love about conversations like this? They're just stupid because clearly, if they knew who did it,
They would have fired him
would
already.
have fired them.
Like
right.
But
in
the
a
fact that they would go
heartbeat.
to all of them and say, oh, if you know something, say something. If you see something, say something kind of bullshit means
You're
they
so
know
right.
dick.
This is like some Robert Mueller, James Comey technique they're trying to do.
Totally.
To get them,
Yeah.
Totally. I've got Brent in the other office and
Yeah.
he says it was you, Shuli.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my
That's
God,
right.
yes.
Right? That's totally the way it worked.
100%.
However, as it turns out, according to Brent, they pulled in like 20 or 30 of them at a time. So everybody was freaking out.
Wow.
And a lot of them didn't even know that, something like they had no idea. They weren't even with the show or whatever. So everybody was kind of freaked out about it. All right, let's
That's a
continue.
good point, Monique, because the thing came out 2013 is when May of 2013, right? So there's a lot of those employees that came way after that and really might not remotely be privy to this.
Right. Why would they?
That's
probably went into some archive somewhere.
They were hoping that someone had bragged about it. The video's was videotaped 9 years ago, and so it's basically 6.5 years, 7 years between it being recorded and it making the internet. They figured that people had been there for 4 years. Obviously, it didn't have anything to do with it.
Or know about it.
But if they
Well,
do
but
see
you-
it, they think
you
he's
never
such
know.
a cult-leading tool. I mean, he can't look good to anybody who sees that. Like a naked eye, like you knew, what? It looks like, Tom Cruise in Magnolia in some horrible GTD cult where he's skulking around and it's overproduced and he can't look good to anybody doing that, especially
The
new employees.
misspellings, everything.
misspellings,
it's actually
Sturcher.
embarrassing.
and then it goes to Gary, and Gary's like, I think it is somebody here. And Gary's like, and now everybody's assholes start puckering up. And he's like, and let me tell you something. If we find out, it's not going to be good for you. It's not going to be good. And then it goes to Jeremy, and
Coleman.
he was like, he flat out was just like,
Spoke.
hey, we'll make sure you never work in this industry again, basically.
How are you going to get someone to
Yeah.
confess? I love that. So you're doing it wrong.
Totally.
Every single person, whether they smoke cigarettes or not, came downstairs to the smoking area afterwards outside the building, and we're just like, what the fuck was that, dude? What the fuck was that?
Who was the bad cop? Jerry?
Jeremy Coleman.
Who is that?
He's one of the executives up there. He was involved with a lot of the talk channels, O&A, and then he moved over. He took over Tim's spot.
Right.
Basically.
So Jeremy Coleman
So it was a
exclusively works for Howard Stern Productions. So he is like the CEO or general manager of Howard 100 and 101. And it's like,
He's
what
the male
exactly does that
Marcy too.
mean?
Oh, I know. He's the male Marcy too. And he's you'll see pictures of them together. You could find pictures of Jeremy Coleman. And he used to work for Opie. If we ever get Opie on the show, he used to know him really well. He was there kind of Sabian at a certain point.
And
He's
then
knocked around
Sabian
the radio
became
business.
their Jeremy, weirdly
Right.
enough. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, that was weird. All right, here we go.
So that we actually see you in, and
Right.
obviously it was being
Damn it!
purposely.
I missed that part of the video.
Well, it was obviously being recorded. Did you see the camera?
So what they're getting at really here is that Stuttering John was, I think, the first person to go live with commentary on the summit video, aka the Pelican Brief.
Well, John leaked pictures. I mean, you remember when it's always Sarah. It's always Sarah. Sarah got stills of the Pelican Brief before anybody did, and she sent them. We did a show on these stills that John released in his book. So John somewhat knew about this.
All right, let's continue with this.
Cameras there recording.
No, I didn't see anybody. First of all, that meeting, as eye-opening as it was for everybody who watched it, imagine sitting there. None of us knew what we were going into. Like, we knew he wanted to go in like another direction. We had a few smaller meetings before, and we knew we were kind of going in a different direction, a little bit more guest-heavy, I guess. But we had no idea that all these changes were coming and these
By the way,
people are coming.
Can I point out
Yeah.
the biggest takeaway for Shuli after that meeting? He has to wear a button-up shirt. That was
That
he's
really
like, what
was.
the fuck? This is
I was just like,
outrageous.
well, no, I
Well, the
didn't have a
hosts wear
problem with it
skater
until
boy
we
clothes.
lost Howard TV, and now I'm like, we're not on TV. I should be able to come in here in a fucking, a onesie. Who gives a shit?
Does the Jeff the Drunk puppet have to be dressed up too, or how does this work?
What, did they ever find out who released it?
Yeah, spill
No,
it.
they never.
Spill it, Shuli.
what's that?
You know who it is. Spill it.
No, I have an idea. I don't know for sure who it is, and I have an idea, but I don't want to say who it is.
What's their name rhyme with?
It doesn't rhyme with Mooly, I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's interesting. The
Beanie Max
recording was probably going to be used for future training, I would think. It wasn't our secret recording. No, I'm not
Future
even
training of how not to do it? What do you mean? Like future
I have
training?
I have zero problem with that. I mean, I know people think that it's like the worst thing ever, but when you're moving a lot of people in one direction or another, it's common to have that type of.
Oh,
There was no that video was not from any type of camera that anyone had knowledge was there. That
Wrong.
That's
Wrong.
such bullshit.
Brent
Wrong.
refutes that, Monique?
No, it's just wrong. It was on a tripod.
Exactly.
People walked past it, waved into it.
Exactly.
Well, we had Brandano.
It was on a tripod.
Yeah,
Everybody knew
exactly.
it was there. It's not like, it's not like they're filming fucking the Batman in a movie theater in Korea,
Exactly.
that you have to keep it on your fucking lap.
this isn't
Everybody
like-
knew.
This isn't
not
Aaron Andrews to
shaky.
a doorknob,
Right. It's
This
not
is-
shaky. The sound quality is fine. So Shuli's wrong on that. Okay.
Shuli's kind
that
of
was filmed on the
retarded.
down low by
It was
somebody.
not.
It was a steady,
Really? Yeah, 'cause I
it was a
think it
steady
was-
camera, though. That seemed like it was
Oh,
set
See,
up.
that
he
was
said
good.
it too.
I'm telling you, maybe let's say this: maybe the person who filmed it worked in television. I don't know. Maybe
Good
they had
point.
experience.
Good point.
Does the name rhyme with Mug, or was he gone already?
No, it wasn't Doug. No.
Mug Badstein.
Yeah.
No, you know what, Vince, I know what you mean. I've been in the corporate world. Now you have those types of presentations. My biggest problem with it was that PowerPoint deck. Those slides are fucking terrible. There was just all words. There's nothing interesting going on. At least pick a theme. Make it interesting.
Horrible.
Yeah, you bring up a good point that's totally unrelated to this, but if you're doing any type of PowerPoint, I say the max is 5 words. I mean, if you
Yes.
get away with 1 word, but so many people just write and write and write, and it distracts the viewer who's either reading or listening. They're not listening to you because they're reading the thing. But I mean, Howard was making the point there, and he's a type A type person, and those are the hardest to give presentations because they want to put everything up there, and they just
Right.
And they don't realize that he did it himself. Like that was literally a Howard Stern production. And-
I hate that compliment he just gave Howard. He's not he's a type A hole. He only cares about money and fame. He doesn't care about perfection and what's good about the show. The whole point of that thing is to blame the staff. That show has always been what he wants all the time, every time. The guests are what he wants, the content's what he wants, and if Howard is anything, he's this professional victim. He is a perpetual martyr. We talked about his parents last week. He's even turning his parents' death into martyrdom for himself. He's a professional victim off his parents, and that's what he's doing to his staff. He's blaming. This is his way of blaming the staff, who are all minions, doing his bidding. It's everything he wants. He's off 80% of the year. It's their fault. The show isn't. It's about his celebrity status. That's what he wants to be elevated, not the show. He could care less about the quality of the show. Never has, never will. He has no quality.
Ms. Beaverhausen says, good point on Shuli on the dress code. If there's no video, who cares? I think the whole point of the dress code was that everybody who came, it was basically like coming into a frat house, and everybody would wear like ripped jeans and fucking cargo shorts.
While the host
and
wears skater boy
t-shirts.
clothes.
Of course.
Right.
But, when you look at the video, obviously, Howard goes to all these late night shows and he sees that everybody's dressed, normal, like, casual Friday, not taken to the next level. And, basically the clothes that you slept in last night and rolled back into work with.
Right.
And I think that's the culture he was breeding there. And I think that part of this was that he got so sick of the culture that was bred. And it's his fault, obviously.
All he's got to do is get
take
one insult from a celebrity guest that came in, and that's
right.
enough to trigger him.
Oh my God, absolutely. And he'll never admit that, but
Right.
I could be fairly sure that was part of it.
Tim Sullivan says it pretty well here. Yeah, money for nothing is Howard's. That is his goal. He wants the most money with the least amount of accountability and content. There's no other. That's all, and fame.
Okay, I'm going to continue.
And obviously he's an entertainer too, so he understands part of that. But to me, the way that he was moving the company, it's his business, right? If you don't like it, start your own company and you do it the way you want to do it. That was my take on it.
You can't.
You say you think of
Greatest
something.
part-
He'll block you.
Oh, God.
Oh, sure. Go ahead, please.
Well, what I was going to say, one of the greatest parts of that whole meeting was, this was a big, big meeting. Like we've only had like 1 or 2 of these big summit meetings, every department from his world, in one spot, meaning, the people that are off-site archiving shit for him and working, in other offices and stuff, all under one roof. And so we're all coming to the summit, and we see Mutt, the host of the Superfan Roundtable, walking into the meeting with his then girlfriend or wife. I don't remember which one she was. And I'm like, nobody was bringing a significant other to this thing.
This isn't a +1. It's not a +1
This isn't
event.
a +1. And
Where's the caterer?
He drove in from Philly or wherever he was living at the time for it. They just made a day of it, coming into the city, bringing my wife to the meeting, and everybody's just looking like, so who's gonna tell him? Somebody has to tell him.
They whack a Superfan Roundtable right about that.
You know what? I don't remember. Once I got in there, I think I was sitting near Sal, and I was picking up.
Mr. Jutunu, the archivist, is, I don't know how you missed this, but he has a whole group of people that he pays to just get these archive boxes, and even if it's like his wife's FHM calendar, they will wrap it in archival paper
Well, it
and
was
put
Kaplan,
it into
wasn't it,
an
Monique?
archival
Wasn't
box.
Jason?
No. He put Jason in charge of going through it all to see what he needed, what they should keep, and what they should throw away. But he paid like 2 or 3 archivists to, and they have like it's stored in like a warehouse somewhere in Jersey or Brooklyn or something like that. And it's just boxes and boxes of, what's it called?
Crap.
Ephemera?
Shot. Yeah. Ephemera.
Is it ephemera? Is that what it's called? The art of paper collections or some shit like this?
I love the chat. Chaka Khan goes, yeah, Howard. Howard said it looked like slobs. Cut to the photo of him in double XL board shorts. Tiger Lily. Tiger Lily writes, yeah. It's a comedy show. That's right. All a blazer.
Oh my God, Melvin Letters, you're so right. The whole thing was taped due to Marcy. You'll want to tape the speech so you can review it, improve on it, have it as part of the record, the same way stand-ups think they need to tape every
efficiency.
Set. Yes, so funny. Linda Ayers says, Stern, I'm sorry. I moved on. Stern comes from a place where someone's always trying to rip him off, steal from him, cheat him in some way, take credit for his genius. When you come with that kind of negative content, it's unfunny. Yeah, it's very true.
Or when you're delusional and think everybody's stealing from you while you're...
Well, that's exactly right.
Posture is the professional victim. Steve S. Yeah, dress up everyone. David Spade's coming in for the third time this year.
Exactly.
Up his do I have a job next week energy, and I was just panicking the whole meeting.
So I have a question for you, Shuli.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot here because I know how good you are with impressions. When you're around someone enough, you can really mimic their style and their sound. Have you ever done a Howard Stern impression?
No. Scott. Sorry.
You need to workshop that. I feel like it's like Lorne Michaels, Anthony Cumia, and his is just like the Robin.
He quotes the
I feel like that would
Pelican
be.
Brief here.
Maybe there's one other.
What's that, babe?
I like this because it's not the impression's horrible, but he quotes the Pelican Brief here. I think he does the Brad Pitt thing. So Shuli's watched this. It tells you that Shuli's watched this 100 times.
You said it all, Carl. There you go.
What have we done today? Set it up.
I've actually heard Sal do pretty
great. Sal does really
Sal was so good. He was able to trick Eric the actor into believing that it was him.
Yeah.
A few
Really?
times.
Because anybody could trick
Eric is not easy to fool.
Not easy to fool. He knew it was high pitch and not Kelly Clarkson. So,
by the way, Vince, while I have you here and on the spot, we need to do another Eric the actor.
Oh,
yeah, here we go.
Oh, interesting.
Where'd you get this idea from?
Because we haven't really talked about this 17,000
and
times.
I'm ready to get back into that. So we were doing a whole series on Eric the actor, who I love and still do, and we're progressing through it. Jan had some family issues, but in reality, I could have pressed it harder. So yeah, we need to start that up again, and I'm ready to go now. So got the new green screen studio going here. That's actually.
Rule, please. I'm broke.
But Howard was in his Hamptons basement, and they're trying to act as if it's in the same room.
Yeah, he hasn't been back to the studio since.
I don't know. They canceled my subscription.
I believe him
anymore.
The real question, Vinny, is Howard in the Hamptons or is he in Florida? I think that's the question people have. I think he's in Florida doing this show.
Does anybody really have that question, considering the fact that we zaprudered that shit like months ago?
It's palm trees and Beth's Instagram. Come on, guys. You don't know.
Oh, it's guitars or no guitars. It's like tile floor versus slate.
Bro,
we all know.
We even broke it down to what room he's in his house.
Exactly.
Those
Exactly.
Those guitars, that fucking poser. That's the worst visual.
Well, how ironic
ever.
would it be? He's bashing Republicans and mask mandates, and he wants everyone to be vaccinated, but he's in Florida now. I don't know. I mean, does it really matter?
It doesn't matter.
And to him,
I think it matters.
Well, eventually it should matter, right? If you're putting on a show 3 days a week, you would think you'd be in the actual office.
Well, imagine busting somebody's balls who work for you for moving out of the state.
Good point.
And then you sit here and you move out of the state, and you get. Imagine that. How hypocritical would that be?
Is the rest of the staff still going to the office? Let's say on Monday, will they be in the actual office in Midtown?
You know, it's funny. I don't know who all is going in and who isn't, but I know people are going in. You know, I don't know how that works and what that entails. If it's because you have to understand, the office has to be completely revamped from the way it was. Wow. I mean, we were literally sitting side by side with dividers between us. Yeah. So, like, you know how it is out there, man. You have to. They have a fart pod now. You go into to rip ass. You know, nobody.
Oh, he's so funny.
It's very stringent over there.
Yeah, I mean, now I think it's okay for that setup to be. I think people.
What are the names of the guys on this show?
Vince the lawyer, Shuli, and Carl. I don't know what Carl's last name is, but he's the host of Who Are These Podcasts.
So Vince was the one who was with John?
Yes.
So they do Who Are These podcasts together?
No, I think Vince just pops in once in a while. I think he was being a legal expert. So he's trying to assess the lawsuit. And they go into later, and I haven't.
Gotcha. And
John's
who's the
lawsuit
guy-
against Sirius.
Who's the guy? And I thought it was from this show. Who's the guy who I thought looked like a healthier JD?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe that's Carl.
Maybe that is Carl. Does he have a full beard, mustache?
Carl looks like JD and Sal had a kid.
Well, people are saying Carl Hamburger.
Is that his last name?
I don't know.
Okay, I didn't know his last
people-
name.
Is that
on
his
the
last name?
chat.
Yeah, I think that's his real last name. He looks like Sal and JD had a kid.
Yeah, a love child, right? No, but
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
like
No,
a
he
healthier
really does.
looking version
Yeah.
of
Yep.
JD.
Yep, with Chicago
if-
accent. Yeah.
Like if JD wasn't like a retarded Asperger's fuck, he would look like Carl. Maybe. I
Exactly.
think Carl's probably a little bit more articulate.
By the way, Shuli is ready to snap. He's ready to turn. He is taking these little passive aggressive shots throughout. He says that Howard did. And let's face it, because he did not thank him for his services on the air. He never said goodbye to
would he?
him. Just good riddance. And
Did
that
hear-
you don't think
did you
that
guys catch
stings
that?
someone?
That Shuli
What's
said
that?
that they canceled his series subscription.
Oh, I believe him. They
I
do
asked
that.
Brent that
They
too.
do
He
that.
said they canceled
That's
mine
petty,
too.
and that is
Right away.
funny as hell.
It's so
They
petty.
canceled his immediately, like the day he
It's so
left.
petty.
Did he really?
Scott too. They
That
canceled.
is-
Yeah,
That's so petty.
so petty.
Like it literally cost them. It cost them more money to log in,
I
log
know.
them out.
They
That's true. It's
literally
more effort to
practically give it
cancel
to
it.
me for free right now, and they cancel like.
Let's share a subscription with Shuli too.
Well, I don't know if we got to the bottom of anything today.
Yes, you do.
I guess we'll wait for the paperwork to come through.
Yeah, so it's not. I mean, as much as you joke about it, if you do get sued, it isn't a joking damages. So
Okay,
you, don't even you don't have to be represented to put in.
I'm done with that. Well, let me toggle a little bit now. So let me go to my conversation with Brent. It was fun for us to hear Shuli talk about it. So I was wondering what your take was on it.
Yes. Well, everything Shuli said was, I listened very closely to what Shuli said. And I was at the meeting that he's talking about. And everything he said was accurate. It was absolutely accurate. And it was kind of weird and for me, disappointing. Marcy, I met for the first time when I got there in 2014. I'd never met her, never met her before. But Gary and Mr. Coleman, I've known for many, many years. And radio is a small business. Like we know each other. All of us know each other very, very well. So, yeah, it was just it was a disappointing meeting. I just thought I thought that it could have been handled like, hey, look, ignore this stuff and do your job. Like that's all that needed to be said. Ignore this stuff and do your job, and that's it. And I just thought that the tone of it was a little disappointing to come from people that I'd known for that long.
But what did it turn into? Did it turn into a accusatory kind of thing, or
Yes, it did.
how do you?
Not
think it went
towards
down?
generally speaking, yes, but not accusing anybody specifically.
So did they have thoughts about who they thought may have released it?
They may have. I have no idea. I really don't. I used to be in my office. I was next to the Sternthology people. My office was next to them. Shuli was in my office. And we had another guy in my office that nobody's ever heard of. And we worked a lot of stuff on the Whack Pack stuff a lot. And we worked a lot on, I had a lot to do. So, and I wasn't in the bullpen most of the time. I was on 37. I was only in the bullpen for the live show, or if I had a meeting to go that I had to be in down there. I was on 37 a lot. So I didn't hear a lot of what they had going on and what they thought about it, but boy, they were pissed. I can tell you that. They were not happy.
It's a funny thing because when Shuli was mentioning it on the other show the other day, he said nobody knew that they were recording it, but they had to know. I mean, it was clearly.
Oh, are you talking about the original?
Yes, the original.
Yeah.
They had to know. It was on a tripod.
Yeah.
People walked by and kind of like waved at it. And there was always suspicion that there was a part 2 wherein Gary said, does this mean that I now report to Marcy? And in turn, it was like, yes, you do. And I was just wondering if that dynamic, that Gary not really reporting into Howard anymore, but reporting into a Marcy who's, an acolyte of getting things done and had never had a job in radio before in her life, if that created... Am I blathering too much in this?
No, I love what you're saying. Nicely said, by the way. No.
Oh,
you're not
okay,
blathering.
okay. I wasn't sure.
I'm enjoying this. Not at all.
I feel like I'm zoning over here.
No.
Okay.
Roll camera.
Like a weird
You have ADHD on
dynamic
yourself.
amongst everybody.
I'm a weird dynamic. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, absolutely. If you look at the organizational structure, Gary does have to answer to Marcy. That's true. However, Gary works a lot more with Jason and Will and stuff like that, and Marcy works more closely with the senior vice president of the channel. And it's just and like you said, it's just for me personally, as somebody that dedicated my life to terrestrial radio, it's very sad to see terrestrial radio itself is like dying in front of our eyes. It's sad for me, but it's the way the world goes. But the sad part about radio, and Phil Hendry used to come on Bubba's show and talk about this, talk about even just the person that is in charge of programming at SiriusXM had never been in radio before. And Phil Hendry was like, if any one of us walked onto the Miramax lot and said, we want to make a movie, they would say, goodbye, leave, thank you. Yep. They wouldn't even take a meeting with us. And radio, we're the only business. If I wanted to go coach the New Orleans Saints, they would say, no, you're a fan. Go buy a ticket and sit in the stands, buddy. And we're the only business that this is allowed to go on. It's really insane. And you can even broaden it out at SiriusXM and say, when you're looking at celebrities doing radio shows, and if you listen to any of them, most of them are just horrible. Because they've never done it before. And when I worked with Mary Lou Henner, they hired me to teach her how to do radio versus TV, because she was taught to do things a very specific way, in an episodic way. And that's not how you do radio. And to her credit, she's brilliant. She picks it up like that.
Every actor who does it, it's on the job training. I mean, just the way it works. But do you not find it kind of curious, though, that, like you said, just a fan walking in, don't you find it curious, though, that, 50, 60% of Howard's core staff were just fans? It's their only job ever, and it's their only job ever in radio.
So true.
Yeah, it was that way for a long time. There's a few people there now that are behind the scenes that actually did come. There's one guy that came from Bill Maher and Saturday Night Live, and he is super talented. He really is. Right. There's people. What's that?
He's a writer?
Yeah, he's a writer.
Okay.
Yeah, he's super talented. He's written sitcoms. He's really good. And there's a couple of people there that have come from other broadcasting jobs.
I'm talking core. I'm talking Richard, Sal, JD. I mean, people that have never done anything other than this show ever.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I was one of the few people there that had radio experience outside of
right. And so look what happens. You leave, and how hard it is to actually find something that is substantial, that's going to make you money again, and to kind of, catch that lightning in a bottle again. Let alone these guys who have 0.0 experience anywhere other than where they've been.
Yeah. Richard is very specifically. Richard is super talented. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, he's one of the best drummers ever. He could get a job in music if he wanted to. He just doesn't want to tour. He's got 2 kids. He doesn't want to be on the road.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't blame him.
Yeah. So, and there's no bigger Sal and Richard fan than me. I love both of those guys' comedy. I think they're both just hilarious. But your point is right. You could hire radio people, and not for very expensive, with a lot of experience that could probably give you a lot of different perspectives on what to do there. It's a weird thing in radio too. This weird thing of hiring people that don't have any experience it's mind-boggling to me. Why they would do that.
So
and then out of here, you mentioned for me. Yeah. So for me, just a month and a half ago, there's a major radio station. I'll tell you the market, Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And I turned down a job to be part of the morning show on this radio station. I never thought I would say I was going to turn down this job, but I'm kind of figuring out how to tell stories into the digital age. And what's going on is all these services, Hulu, Amazon, Netflix, all these places, they need content because they've got to keep subscribers.
That's right.
So I've got a project that I'm working on with Bubba. I mean, he's talked about it on his show, so people can go listen to his show and you can hear what it's about. It's incredible. It's amazing. But things for film, TV, and take a long time. It is not like radio.
I'm gonna scooch a little because it's begging for me.
That's good stuff, though. Steve Z writes, everyone's super talented, yet the show blows. You know why, Steve? Because as Xavier masterfully said, the show needs a new Howard. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Those guys can't do what they want to do. Tim Sullivan goes, I'd rather touch Sal's cock in front of Howard than be in a rock band. That's my inspiration.
So you agree with what Shuli said about the Pelican Brief? They did kind of hardline you guys a little bit about what you may or may not know about it. And did they threaten people with like
that voice, that condescending?
We will make sure that you don't have a career in this business anymore.
I did hear that said. What Shuli said was, I listened very closely to that segment. What Shuli said, everything he said was accurate. Because if he said anything that wasn't, believe me, I want to tell you that Shuli got something wrong.
And I believe what he said to be true as well. I just wanted to know if there was anything, that you wanted to kind of tack onto it or add to the conversation.
It was just personally from my point of view, a disappointing conversation to have with people who are artistic
because you're
people.
Supposed to be trusted, or because
we're supposed to be trusted, and you're dealing with people that really are creative and artistic people, and creative and artistic people, in my experience, if they're dealt with like that, they don't respond that well.
No, that's true.
It makes you feel bad on the inside, and I'll admit this to you right here. I'm a sensitive person, and if I'm at a place where I'm and I've got a track record of this. If I'm at a place where I'm being disrespected, like I can't create the art that I need to create, and I walk. So
shit happens. Now,
yeah.
Wait, I have to ask you this: did they pull everybody in one at a time, or was this like a group meeting?
It was a group meeting. It was a big group meeting. Yeah.
Just walk me through that, just a tit hair of conversation about this.
Okay.
So they pull people in as a group of what? 20, 30, 50?
I would say it was at 20 to 30 at least.
Okay.
At least.
So they probably found out about it from when Stuttering John played it or something like that, because it was all over Reddit and everybody was kind of talking about it and like that. And then what happens?
Well, They had that meeting, and I went back to my office and sat there and was like, I just needed to take a minute and cool off, because I didn't want to. At that point, I was still a little bit new working for the Stern Show staff. I was still a little bit new. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to say anything that I would regret. Historically in radio, I am a very vocal person to the point where I've argued with general managers before, like in the hallway. There's a talk show host named Todd Schnitt I've almost gotten into a fist fight with, but it's I'm very vocal, but that one I wasn't. So I just went and sat in my office and kind of calmed myself down for a second because I was so disappointed.
Did you guys talk about it afterwards?
Yeah, amongst us, yeah, we did. We all had to talk about it, and everybody was bummed out. Like the staff was bummed out because I have no idea who leaked what, or I have no idea. But I don't think it was anybody in that room.
Was Howard upset? Was this like an edict directly from him, or was it like a Marcy Jeremy?
I don't know. It was Howard wasn't there, so I don't know if he was upset or not. I'm sure
he knew.
He probably was, but he wasn't there. This was the bosses, the senior management people.
What did Jeremy Coleman do exactly? He's not just Stern Show, right?
Oh, right now he is. He's the senior vice president of the Howard Stern channels, and I've known Jeremy for many, many, many years. He's a long-time program director in radio. He goes all the way back to WJFK and in Washington D.C. He was G. Gordon Liddy's program director. He's he's been a programmer for a long time, and he broadly speaking, is a really good program director. He does a lot. He does a lot, and he's one of the layers of edits before Howard even gets to see anything that goes through like this system of production. Like he's heavily involved, and he knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. He really is like.
Why would Jeremy think that having people jerk off into a cum hat that Richard has to put on is something that should be sanctioned and passed on into? I mean, it's actually so vile. And,
yeah, I'm the gross one.
Yeah, no, you know what? You're right. You're right. At least what you do is almost borderline normal. This is not normal.
On Bubba's show, I've done some pretty crazy stuff myself. So.
Yeah, I know.
But never. But I don't think I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever jerked off on Bubba's show. No.
Jerked off into a hat with multiple people have already jerked off into.
I haven't
There's
done
like
that.
5 or 6 people who have done it now.
I have had a porn star take a dildo out of her, smack me across the face with it, and called me a.
I'm okay with that.
Because
it's a woman. Please tell me it was a woman. Yes.
It was a woman, yeah. Yeah,
exactly.
It was Dasha. Her name was Dasha. But yeah.
Right. So it wasn't any kind of like weird borderline homosexual thing going on.
No, not that. See, some of that stuff went on Bubba's show, but I was never involved in that. And Manson and I used to give Bubba a hard time about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so
because
who is the Stern Show for?
Thank you.
That's a question they're going to have to answer. Because in the projects that I'm working on now, the executives that are talking to me is like, who is the target audience? I'm like, well, males 25 to 54.
No,
that's who my target. That's who I'm going for with this and with this. That's who I want to reach. Males 25 to 54, hopefully with expendable income. That's what I'm looking for.
I will tell you though that even for my show, it skews a little bit older now because people that appreciate potty jokes and have that kind of sense of humor are actually skewing older because millennials and like the younger Gen Xers, they have no fucking sense of humor. So really, the 25-year-old isn't really that person anymore because they're so sensitive. They're so goddamn caught up in their own like self-value and self-worth that they don't think anything is fucking funny.
Yeah, I know. Laughing at yourself is so important.
It's a problem, though. It's a problem.
Yeah.
I would say
agree.
like 35 to 65 is actually the new 25 to 54.
I agree.
But you say, it's funny. You say, who is the show for? Which is the most phenomenal question. They so overshoot. My nephew's generation, they have so many options. Why would they be remotely interested in this piece of shit show? All these people working on this vile dumpster fire.
Any of this stuff?
And what I'm saying, like the Stern Show thinks that's their audience. They think they're entrapping 25-year-olds to listen to this. You know how many options these kids have now at their fingertips, at their disposal, at their phone, at their tablet, the video games.
So this is
why would they listen to this podcast? It's nothing they need. It's nothing we need.
No, I agree. I do want to swing full circle and go back to just for a second because I feel like I didn't finish my train of thought with it. On the summit meeting, do you think any of the things that they talked about in that meeting ever came to fruition? Did they ever were there ever core teams to, make sure that they went out and got like the best guests for weekly shows? Everybody had to change how they dressed and not dress in like t-shirts and jeans anymore. There were a lot of things we had always gleaned from that about, people making Twitter accounts and telling people to follow them. And, oh my God, you should go on the Howard Stern Show and create fake Twitter accounts and stuff like that. How much of the shit that they spewed on that ever really came to fruition in terms of significant change to the show?
Well, the guest thing, they really went hard at the guest thing. They really did, and they got a lot of good guests, which is not really my thing. That's not what I enjoy in radio. Some people do, some people don't. I never have liked it with anybody.
Isn't a lot of that cross promotion though because they're at Sirius?
Some guests, some are so big they only do the really big ones. Will come in and only do Howard, or they'll do Howard and one other thing because they're so big. The guest team there, the booking team does a really good job of getting guests. They really do. Booking team. If that's what you're into, and I'll share this with you. Like one of the first meetings I was in, where everybody was there, and I was asked, like, tell me, you come from a long radio lineage, what's wrong with the show? And I was like, there's too many guests.
No.
They were doing double guest day, and
Disagree.
and they cut that down after that when I was like, there's just too many guests. Like, the stuff that's being prepared by the staff is better. It is
than having
a guest on. It's just to me, and this is just my personal preference in radio. There's lots of people that I like and I'm fans of. I just don't care what they have to say about politics or their life or anything else.
Through all interviews, I have no interest whatsoever.
None. I'm interested in. I love the staff and the whack pack stuff. Like, that's the stuff that I like, because it's psychologically interesting.
How many people are in, like? How many people would be on like a booking staff?
Oh my God, they have a guest team that's probably easily 8 to 10 people that works on guests.
You talking about Stern or Sirius?
Stern. No, Sirius has a whole department. They call it the talent.
A whole separate
department called the talent department, and their whole job is to book guests.
8 to 10 people to book guests on the Stern Show.
And they will go months and grooving with no guests. And what do those people do? Remember when they came back from the 3-week Christmas vacation? It went 2 months without a guest. What do those people do in that time? And how many David Spade and Seth Rogen and Whitney Cummings over and over again?
Well, that's what I said to him. It's like, how could there be so many people? Wait, hang on.
Walk celebrities when they get there through their different interviews and keep them on schedule. So
and then does it ultimately come down to just like Howard having an interest in the person?
Yes.
Because I feel like there's been a lot of repeat guests lately, so he hasn't really gone out on a limb too much, just in terms of
that's his
people on the show.
He gets offered just about everybody.
Right,
and,
I would think.
And he gets offered just about everybody. He says no to a lot of people that you'd be surprised he says no to. It's basically who he's personally interested in and wants to talk to.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And then how many people would do the research for him in terms of the interview itself?
Oh my gosh, there's a whole team that does that. And the notes, they do an amazing job. Like, any interviewer would be blown away the packet of information that you get. Because they do such a good job prepping him.
So how many people would you say?
I'd say at least 8. So
yeah, okay, that makes sense.
At least, and then sometimes, so when Metallica's coming, like, I wasn't on that team, but Metallica's coming in, I would go to that meeting because that's somebody or something that I know about.
And you have a vested interest in it, and it's something.
Yeah, I can say, oh, you might want to ask about this.
Right. Or here's a little tidbit I know about them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then I remember one time, Jerry Springer and Steve Wilkos were coming in. Who?
Okay, I'm done with this now.
That's good stuff. Good stuff.
It's its own show. I wanna focus in on.
So you're gonna post this individually?
Yes, I have it all
okay. I mean, I was really enjoying that. I was really. They have some good callback to the Pelican Brief. Fairway Man goes, "They're too busy." Remember donuts? They're too busy creating donuts.
No, we wouldn't be surprised. You're exactly right, Greenpoint. Stern's a dumbass, so I assume he says no to tons of people. Of course he does, because he doesn't know them. And I just, I'm just amazed that there would be like 8 to 10 people booking guests, and probably 8 to 10 people, writing questions for him. Like, the way he always says, I sat around thinking about questions I want to ask them.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't do any of that shit.
No.
Nothing.
What would be the harm in just crediting those people for helping you prep? Like, is it that big? No one believes you do it. There's not a single person that believes your research by yourself. Nobody believes it. So just give him their props. As Shuli said, he's never going to say good job.
No.
And everybody should say the good job, because he wants to keep you like you need him. Yes. You need him. He's the professional victim. He's doing you a favor. You have no chance at survival in this life if you don't work for this awful show. You know what? People go, oh, Howard's giving them a living. Howard gave at K-Rock. You know when these guys had to have 3 jobs? Talk to Grillo. $6 an hour. No, never stepped up for him.
He didn't have 70 people. He had 7. And the show was like 10 times better.
Right. So you think he was making $32 million a year, and you think he could take care of a Grillo or someone like that for doing all this shit, saving his life, I might add, in a parking garage.
All right, Radio Gaga. I will do a follow-up with Caitlin. All right, so let's go to Shuli doesn't know listener numbers. Oh, Bon, are you coming on?
Oh, my God. Hello, I had to come on. This is amazing, Radio Gunk.
Isn't that a good interview, Bon?
I
Isn't that
had
a really
to come
good
on.
job you did?
I'm fucking unbelievable. He's talking about Marcy. You guys sound bewildered almost. I don't know why John isn't going, oh, my God. Especially with the Jeremy Coleman bit blew my mind. This is like, it's like the Rosetta Stone.
I know it is.
Xavier, are you awake? Have you been hearing
bored
this?
with it. He doesn't like it.
I know. I don't know why, John. I don't know why.
Sorry.
What are you talking about, Bond? You want me to scream over her while she's? I'm not going to stop.
No, I understand.
I am exuding all excitement. I haven't stopped commenting. You're absolutely wrong. Take that.
I do take it back.
Hindsight, Aussie.
The recording.
I take it back. I'm sorry. I mean, I thought Brent was going to just not answer any questions at all, and this is like the full debriefing. I mean, that's what we've got to call it. I guess the interview has to be the debrief of the Pelican Brief.
It's so funny because I just did it and then I saved it and then I'm listening to it back for the first time right now, and I'm like, everybody's probably so fucking bored with this right now. Like, I just couldn't even imagine that anybody cared.
I think you're too up in your head when you're listening to it. You have your own ADHD. We love this minutia. We live for these nuggets.
I know.
We've been waiting for. Nobody brings her up ever, even if it's the most subtle, slightest thing. We want to hear it.
Yeah. Well, okay. So he gave it
incredible.
to us, I guess. He did. I mean, and he said, anytime you want to talk, I really enjoy doing this. And, if you want to do it again, I'm more than happy to. And so, yeah. So
I think he's trying to top Shuli because he's just heard all that, what Shuli's done. Now he's like, if we're all going to talk about it, I better talk about it.
Brent's another guy he didn't thank on the air. Did thanks for your service. Howard is a fucking badge money stolen value. He's obsessed with Brent. Didn't say a word about him leaving. So I think Brent's got an axe to grind about that, not getting his props on his way out.
MO of the show. Every time it takes usually like a couple of months before you realize someone's no longer on the show.
Take whoever it is, Artie, for all of them. He's never gonna. He had to be forced at gunpoint to bring Artie up. The guy who's responsible for the at his goddamn bonus. Artie, imagine going to Sirius without Artie. How that subscription bonus is gonna be met. Didn't even bring him up when he left.
And here's the thing. Look, God bless Brent for talking, but when all these other people got shit canned and he was there, did he fucking bring it up?
Yeah. There was a time when Brent was a very special guy to Howard. Like I said, the stolen valor, the fake military badge money bullshit.
So was Crazy Cabby.
Well,
so was Crazy Cabby. I mean, it's not the first nor the last.
It's always a professional victim. It's always the world's greatest. He's always doing them a favor. Nobody could survive without him, including his parents.
I agree. I want the teeniest, tiniest detail.
Yeah.
What
Don't
does
underrate
Rick
that.
eat? How does he eat it? Does he use plastic silverware? What cologne does he use? Sharpies or pens? What color? All of it. Melvin, listen to me. I love these kind of questions, and I have no problem asking those type of questions, especially to a Brent who, may or may not know the answer to some of these questions. So, if you have, we can do a minutia show, and, I can find out anything from anybody that I know, and maybe we can, together have a compilation of what we know.
I have a Wonder Woman mask now, which is really kind of cool.
Oh, look who's back in town.
Waiting for you.
Look who's Oh my God, it's not
Bobina and G Canada want to know what percentage of the staff is Canadian besides Wilding, that kind of stuff. Who's been to Canada? What's the audience? And
yes, we will definitely have Casey on again. We talk to him. We talk to him all the time. Oh, look, Bond, that's you. I hear myself.
Just a minor technical hitch. You were saying
nothing, Mr. Sound Machine. Nothing.
I haven't been on for ages. I'm just doing some adjustments.
Okay. Well, as you know, just based on the chat over here. They've missed you, and Bond likes to come in for the big shows. Bond likes to be, Bond
You
doesn't
love
like
saying
the,
it's so true.
You do,
Actually,
you
it
do.
is.
Yeah.
I can't do these 3
No,
shows
Bond
a
doesn't
week.
like
You
the
guys
Better
are,
Call Saul.
and
He likes the
I
Breaking
love,
Bad movie.
I love you all, but you guys are. I can hear the what's the word? Burnout. You're kind of burning the candle at both ends. You guys get pretty cranky by that 3rd show a week of Today Tonight.
So
You're,
Julie
think it's
doesn't
overkill?
feel
everybody's got a
bad.
real
not
short.
worthy
No,
of-
it's
Well,
no.
dude.
You've got a
Every day.
short fuse because you're trying to talk about a show, the
the
worst
third
show in the
show-
world.
It's true.
But there's
It's
so-
true. That's what
it's
cleaning out the
such a-
computers for.
I mean, the fact that we can even like scrape the bottom of the barrel for any content
Yeah.
at that point is like fuck it.
Can we discuss this for a second?
Cleaning out the computer.
I don't think we ever discussed how that came about and how silly it is. And I have to tell you, Bond, like the first time I heard it after it was like finally pulled together, because I had done one and he had done one. And then he's like, well, fuck it. Let's just put them together and make it like something good.
Because you had the horse sound and I had the electronic elements.
Exactly.
It's all-
The news part of it, which I thought was like the funniest thing. And it's still one of my absolute favorite things that we do on this stupid show because I play it probably like 15 times. I think what's going to happen though for those weekly shows, for the 3-day-a-week shows going forward, I in my brain, it started out that it was just going to be one thing Howard says and we could talk about it. Because seriously, we could talk to this fucking water bottle for an hour and a half with
We
no
did.
issue
You
We
can
did
just
one
riff
the other
off
day.
the chat. You can just riff off the chat.
We
Some
100%
musings.
did.
Exactly. So I think
Christ's
that
sake.
if we really, really hone it in again, all of a sudden I went from having like 3 or 4 clips to like 14, 15 clips, and I don't want that. Like I don't want it to be that show
Welcome
again.
to my world. You start to go, I don't know how to prioritize. It's all
Right,
crap.
what's the most important
computer.
thing? What's the most important thing? So you know what? That's what the show is probably going to be for going forward. What is the most
Yeah, bro, but-
salient, most germane
That's
thing
how
that
you
he has said
started
for
this
the
show.
day?
You said we're going to pick one thing and focus in on it.
That's right.
And you've gone to 2.5-hour episodes
I know,
lately.
The parents
and
dying.
She
is
got
just
particularly
all
angry
that
about that.
shit. The ranting. I mean, he's going insane. And you know what? We are here to be the purveyors of all his shit. That's
I
what
have
we're
like a
here to
fondness
do.
for like some Puerto Rican dudes.
He's such an asshole. I hate him. He has access to everything I have ever said, like in recording.
I have so much.
Oh God, I hate you so much.
I will
Man.
go as far to say this show does not even need, not us, his show does not need to be live. I don't think there's anything about the
100%
live element of
doesn't.
radio
Oh, no,
that
no,
it
no.
benefits that show. The callers are fake. He doesn't come. Like I said, if there was another 9/11 while he was on the air, he would wait 3 weeks to comment on it. He would never talk
Absolutely.
about it. Nothing can
Absolutely.
happen in real time that he has any deft ability to. You can't get. You think of a guest. Oh, let me get blah 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 on the phone to comment on. Never going to happen. So the
Never.
live element of radio is lost on all. That's an anonymous quack. Was that Bernard McGurk?
I did ask him. I did ask him. I'm trying to remember. Oh, we talked about Howard ever coming back into the studio. He said absolutely not. He said he actually believes that it's written into his contract that
Totally. That's
like
what
an
I said.
amendment to the
Yep.
contract that he
Yep.
doesn't have to come in anymore. Why did Brent want to talk? You know what? I text with him every so often just to see what's going on in their lives. And, just to check in. And I said, hey, Shuli did this yesterday. And I sent him John's clip. And I
That's
said,
the reason.
would you like to comment on it? And he's like, yeah. No.
Hey, Brett,
Amazing
you
job, John, on the deapening. Jesus Christ.
Oh, thanks,
Episodes
Bon.
5 hours, 4 hours. You're
Thank
out
you
of
very
control.
much.
And
Out of control.
wow.
About the length of it. I think Sarah's so underrated as the Americanized version of Sasha Was, the lawyer who drilled Depp in the UK about the stuff. She's got that little sarcasm and stuff, and I think she's so underrated in that role.
I'm
And
in
as
love
Tracy
with her,
Jane.
honestly.
I
I
know, she
can't
gets
help
love.
it. She's the greatest chick in the world.
She's definitely a guy's girl.
She's responsible for this show, in fact,
What show?
alerting us to this one we're doing.
Oh, I thought
She
you meant
found
Gunk show.
the
Whatever.
Shuli stuff.
Okay, so what I said to him is, I need you on the podcast to talk about this. I'm dying to know your
Thank you,
thoughts
guys, in
on
the
what
chat.
happened with the Pelican Brief after it was released. I said, can you come on for a bit tomorrow? He said, hey, Monique, what time? I'm not familiar with this yet, but I'll listen to it. I'm happy to come on, though. And, I asked him what his day looked like and where he was. He was at a concert. He sent me pictures. And then I said, have fun. We'll chat tomorrow. Tell Kay I said hi. And that was that. He said I could definitely do 2:00, but I can't do night. So that's why we did that. So that was that. And he said he would come on anytime. So if you guys have like a bunch of questions and you want something, answered, yes, Arm has a podcast. Arm has a podcast called The Deepening.
The impossible arm.
Was that Sarah?
Was that?
And it's kind of become like the Perry Mason of the Johnny Depp milieu. I don't know. It's they're doing a lot of the trial.
I don't buy that whatsoever.
Is that Natalie Maines? She sounds exactly like Natalie Maines. That's Sarah.
I was afraid Johnny Depp was going to sue me.
I mean, Sarah. He's got 15 Sarah drops. This is unbelievable.
I want to gaze at him from afar.
Sarah and Arm are my favorites.
Well, it's not a, it's a sister show.
I will cook him macaroni and cheese.
Now I'm shutting up, waiting for the drop. I'm not putting pressure
I know.
No, I'll let you talk. Please talk now,
okay.
and in 30 seconds I'll send a drop through.
Yeah, no, I want to get to stupid Shuli listener numbers and.
Okay, yeah. So this is the same interview. This is the same. But I want to also thank.
All right, let's let Johnny talk for a minute here.
I want to also thank.
I'm done. I'm stopping. The floor is yours. Sorry.
David liked when I played Johnny the Riddler. Depp was reading it. So Fudgesicle said go back further in the interview, and there's some good stuff about the Stern Show. So they go into the listener stuff, and Shuli says they will not tell you anything about listener numbers. And then Shuli draws a comparison to a podcast he went on called Your Mom's House, which is like guy Tom Segura, who's kind of Rogan adjacent, and he basically admits that they destroy Howard's numbers, and he can't.
Tom Segura suing somebody? Who's the one who's suing?
Oh, I don't know.
Who's the one who just had a lawsuit? You guys, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Somebody posted it in our forum the other day. Some guy who's like Rogan adjacent is suing.
Oh, Brendan Schaub.
Oh, who's he suing?
Yeah, he's like a fucking former UFC fighter, and he became a comedian, and Rogan elevated him, made him sort of cut the Comedy Store line where
he's
getting
suing
these comedy
your friend,
right.
Cyan Z, Kyle.
Right.
Unique.
That's right.
He's suing him.
Right.
There's a lawsuit.
Jesus. Yeah, and
why
he
would
was
you
taken
sue
off of
Kyle?
Exactly. Yeah. You see where he lives? Why would you sue fucking Kyle?
It's a compliment.
You know
he's
what
on his radar.
It was just to shut him down. That's all it was.
Those guys, all this podcasts that go after all these other, it's who are these podcasts? Obviously, Red Bar started it all. He's the godfather of it all, and they all do this thing where they make fun of these other comedians who have podcasts over and over again. Schaub is kind of the mother lode of the guy they go after. He's like he's
a terrible try-hard comedian.
Let me play a clip. Here we go.
He made such a hard left, and he's all in now. He's like, I don't give a fuck if I lose, let's say, 40% of my audience because they're Republicans. Fuck them. Like he's all in.
Well, the math's pretty easy. The math's pretty easy on this one, Shuli. That would be 40 people. So I think that's fine.
All right. I don't know. They still haven't worked out a whole ratings thing there yet, but they're working on it.
So my friend I want to get the actual ratings for the show now, like the real ratings, like how many people are actually watching. And my friend works in the IT department there, like high up, but he still won't reveal that information to me.
Yeah, you got to get Putin in the mix if you want those numbers, dude. You're going to have some Russian cyber action going on because they ain't looking to share those anytime soon, I'll tell you that.
I do know this, Vince, because there was that article that came out in the New York Post. And it's probably a year and a half ago now. It was a pretty big deal when it came out. And what was cited in that is that they did a survey of people who have a subscription to SiriusXM, and fewer than 10% of those people said they subscribed for Howard Stern. And if you had taken the same survey in 2007 or 2012, you're going to be over 90%.
That's probably true.
So the audience has definitely shrunk quite a bit.
And that's listening on Sirius, right? Even another example, I did one episode of Your Mom's House.
Yeah.
And that YouTube video has more hits than all of my YouTube videos from the show that I've been on in clips or whatever to promote put together. All of them. Just
well,
one
that's
episode.
not hard to do. We've seen your numbers.
I know they're trying. That's their like big thing to get people, to get the online. But like you can't do that by turning off comments and not letting people say what they want to say.
Oh, give it to Shuli for that transparency.
The guy that blocked anybody who
I know.
I don't know.
this way.
I like that.
He's as sensitive as anybody, but I don't give a shit how sensitive Shuli is.
he's
I'll
a
take it.
bitch.
I'll take the
Okay.
dissension. I know he's a bitch, but I'll take the
Yeah.
dissension.
Okay,
He's
it's
absolutely
cool
right.
that he's throwing them under the bus now, but he's got the most sensitive nipples of anybody that's ever been on the show.
They all do. They all
my
do.
God.
No, he
nipples.
takes the cake. He takes the cake.
I gotta say, Gary has not blocked me. I have been.
Gary also doesn't reply to anybody on here. Like unless you have a blue check mark and you're somebody who knows, he will not reply. That's the way Gary is. I mean, you see what Bring Back Jackie does to him on a constant basis. I mean, he is brutal all morning long when the show is on. All morning. Hey, Gary, you might want to tell your boss that blah, blah, blah. I mean, he does it all fucking morning. And I know it's the enemy of the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Not Shuli though.
He's our source. He ain't no fucking friend of mine.
He's no fucking
Gina
friend.
Bobina, I somewhat agree with you. I'm liking him a little bit more with each dissension. Just a little bit, like a little bit. That's that. I like that a lot. I'm with you too.
He's not trying to be funny. That helps.
No, he's not.
He's
right.
just
That's
telling
right,
some information. When he's under pressure to be funny, it's a disaster. But this is just a guy. If I didn't know who he was, I'd just say, I don't know who he is, but he's all right. He's telling us a
spot
story,
on, Bond. Just being
it's
real.
Good enough.
Right, just telling us a story.
Not trying too hard.
Exactly. Too little, too late. I appreciate the dissenting Shuli, but he will see no consequence. You're exactly right, David. I don't really give a shit about him. All right, let's listen to the other clip. It's only a minute and some odd long. Hang on.
But in reality,
I can't comment either. I cry myself to sleep every night hoping that they call me back. So I will not comment on that.
well, I'll say this. Think
Comment on
about
what?
the interns
John,
that weren't getting paid for all those years on the show.
Sure.
Then were they actually signing away their rights to use their work? Most of them weren't. Now, I don't like California law. I love New York law for cases like that. So assuming that someone didn't actually sign anything, that's what New York requires here. I don't know what attorney, I don't know anything that what John did subsequent to me and him potentially even thinking about something like this. But to me, the people that work there and never signed away their rights, and if they're still using their work today, potentially they have a case under New York law. I don't know anything about California.
Yeah, well, that's not the angle that this particular pair that have teamed up for this are going after. They're using California law to write publicity.
But it is interesting because they were sued by music groups because they were playing all these songs on the 50s and 60s channel. And these musicians said, well, we're not getting any royalties for you guys playing our songs every single day. And they won.
They settled, yeah.
So, for example, I know comedians that, that get paid via the Comedy Channel on Sirius playing their work. So I kind of see that, let's say somebody worked there. Let's say they worked there for 15 years, Let's say every now and then some of their bits get played on Best Of. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a little gray area there. As much as I hate to side with Stuttering Juan, but let's be honest, they don't ever play Stuttering Juan stuff. There's no.
Also, I should.
And by the way, sorry, anything that Stuttering John did on that show, those heydays, are 1,000 times funnier.
That's what made this
That's
show.
some of the
That's
best
the reason
stuff you're ever
Shuli got
gonna
a
see.
job. starring John made the fucking show
Yep.
when he was on. Like,
He auditioned for John's job. That was part of the process of him
I mean, bro,
submitting stuff.
The fact that Howard's so butthurt, I mean, goes to show you how much he relied on him for content.
Yeah, David, people sued because of the fact that, most of for some bizarre reason, they thought a lot of this music was now, what is it called when it becomes like public
domain?
They just assumed a lot of it was public domain and they didn't have to pay anybody because half the people were dead. And, who wants to spend the time trying to figure out who has the rights to something, I guess. And, the courts absolutely sided with all these artists and said, you're so wrong. And yeah, so I was just reading that Tiger Lily said that even Sal has now made his Twitter private.
Wow, they're getting pummeled. Even Sal's just losing it. He's losing that beloved status he used to have.
Yeah, well,
Really no point in having one.
No, there
you
isn't.
can't do
You
anything
can't
with
say
it.
anything.
You can't
Exactly.
parlay. You can't advertise anything you're doing.
But not only that, Bond, they're not allowed to even go on other shows. Like that's one of the big reasons that drove Shuli out of there. He's such a sort of air whore that he can't run around. I mean, there was a point where he was doing Jay Thomas, Miserable Men. He was sitting in on Pharrell. He's filled in for Hine doing Superfan Roundtable. He had that Dr. Fish show, and that all went away. And they're not allowed. These guys aren't even allowed to like guest on a podcast, even if it's sort of Stern adjacent. And nobody loves hair.
Howard's got serious.
Well,
look at this.
Howard J.
problems.
You see this down here? SiriusXM paid $210 million to settle for using pre-1972 songs.
Chubby Chicker got paid.
But why do you think? I mean, go back to the listener stuff. Why do you think they won't release those numbers? Because it makes who look bad.
Because it's embarrassing.
It's completely embarrassing, and it
That's all
falls
it
and
is.
falls
Nothing
and
more.
falls.
Nothing less.
But
I
don't
think
you
the executives count.
Here's the thing. Don't you think these numbers, these false numbers, these numbers they use for advertisers to get other artists in, to get car installation renewals. These numbers, there has to be some sort of accountability. How is it that you can say, hey, you know what, I'm selling these water bottles and I'm, trust me when I tell you that, it's worth 5 cents or it's worth $10. This is worth $10. Well, how do I know it's worth? Because I'm telling you that it's
There's no
worth $10.
FCC though, so you can do whatever you want.
That's right. This is Howard's world of
private
magical
company,
thinking.
yeah.
Getting things done, magical thinking.
If you guys noticed over the last year or so, the other commercials are like, you don't need a car. You don't need a car.
Now
Well,
you don't.
Considering that there's such a huge car shortage right now, which it means it's eating into their bottom line.
That's
they
right.
used to give. It's all about the free subscriptions that come with the cars. So that's kind of shit the bed. So now it's all like, oh, you don't need a car now. Just you can use whatever.
Because they're desperate for subscriptions. I
Because
mean, there's a goddamn
that has to affect
hole.
them. It has to affect them.
They have a survey, and I think it was the executives trying to have leverage on the other executive who's trying to say he's like the 800-pound wig gorilla. That why are you canceling this? And what's the first thing they say? The Howard Stern show sucks and it's not on enough. That's the very first thing they write, and they have that. So, and it's only gonna. Who's gonna? Tim Sullivan over here writes, "I bought a new car in November and haven't listened to Wig once. I'd rather hear Terminating Eddie Johnson on NBA radio, just like I'm right." Well, Tim, Howard takes credit for you. Like he's telling them that you had anybody that signs up, whether it's sports or music, he wants them to think
Or
he's
it's
taking
free for 3 months.
or free for 3 months with a lease. High school parking lots. I say this all the time. Whenever I officiate a high school game, the parking. Remember when you were a kid in high school? Everyone had third-hand cars, and the high school parking lot. That was brand new lease cars by their parents. That's how easy it is to do. $180 a month. Like this is the teacher parking lot or the student parking lot?
Insouciant radio.
That vocabulary.
Look at what Rupert Pumpkin says. Federal copyright protection was first extended to recordings only in 1972. For that reason, many digital radio services have not paid recording royalties when they play older songs. That's interesting. Like, I never really thought of that. So all of these, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s greatest hits stations, they just basically get away with not paying anybody for use of, Elvis or Bee Gees or
Glenn
whatever.
Miller's getting screwed.
How can that possibly be? I don't understand that. But anyway, I did ask Brent about advertising. I asked Brent about why a Howard Stern show doesn't get somebody like McDonald's or anything like that. I did ask him about whether or not he thought that like the Dunkin' Donuts and the Starbucks and the Peloton were actually paid commercials. And he's like, no, there's a law that actually says that you have to, let the audience know that this is a, paid advertisement. I'm like, well, that's probably not true because, Stuttering John alerted me to the fact that Hal Sparks said on his show one time that they used to pay Robin. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
That they used to pay Robin. What was the show that Hal Sparks was on?
Talk Soup?
No, it was like a gay show.
Oh, Queer as Folk.
Queer as Folk. And they used to pay Robin to promote Queer as Folk. And he's like, then I don't know anything about it. He's like, but I know that, there are definitely laws that say that you need to let people know that this is a promotion that you are being paid for. He's like, so
Monique got her husband to represent Johnny Depp against Amber Heard. Midlife crisis.
Which one was that? The first batch of
no, Midlife Crisis is new. Oh yeah.
No, we've been doing that. We've been doing that for 2-3 years.
Yeah, you're right.
Since the second Shuli show in 2020, that's when Midlife Crisis was. Because of the competition.
It comes from the world's meanest listener competition.
That's it.
Some guy sent it in, and we're like, who is he? Sounded like a Batman villain. I was obsessed with it at the same time Bond was, and I'm like, what is this guy?
Well, Monique wanted to terminated Midlife Crisis Man during the episode, and I said, I can't believe you're stopping this. It's hilarious. And then John said, well, I'll just create new Midlife Crisis live. And from then on, and I've got an MP3 with every Midlife Crisis John has done, and I'm going to make a video. There'll probably be a 10, 15-minute video of every time John has, and they all hit Monique. They're all about Monique's private life.
Of course they
Monique is dyeing her hair blue.
Richie Wilson. I remember the first one was like, Monique is going to Giggle Waters with Richie Wilson. Midlife crisis.
And
so stupid. It's so stupid that it's funny. It always makes me laugh, and I just don't know why. It's just horrible.
I love it.
You don't know about that revelation about Robin? This was like
that was a good one.
When did we
Hal
play
Sparks.
that? I'm trying to remember.
It's probably like 2 months ago.
Yeah, Ida. It was probably like 2 months ago. And John said, hey, you might want to listen to one of my shows. It's Hal Sparks, and he's talking about how they paid Robin for promotion for Queer as
What
Folk.
year were they paying her for that promotion? Are we talking 90s or
early 2000s?
2000s,
whenever
right?
Queer as Folk was on. So
Yes.
Well, that's not legal then, yeah, because they're under FCC. Maybe
Good.
I don't know. I guess I don't know your law. Maybe they I can't
stupid
imagine
laws.
Howard disclosing it on
You're
the
you're
air.
the penal colony. You don't know our stupid laws.
Satellite radio.
You've got a law for every different
I know,
state.
we do.
It changes.
You're right.
I mean, oh my God.
Okay, well, I have some video I'm going to play before we wrap this shit show up because we're moving on to 10,
Bon Jovi will love
hours,
this.
2
Shuli.
hours. So Shuli, I guess he's being interviewed by Rachel Fine.
Yeah,
he?
this is 2012. He's
You should
on the
play
news
the computer
team.
intro. It's part of cleaning out the computer,
Is
isn't
it
it, John?
in fact part of that?
Cleaning out the computer. I can't believe I'm telling you to play that because I've edited that out of weeks of the
Have you?
shows because it got so annoying. One time you played it 5 or 6 times in a row, and I said, you can't do that to this audience. They're going to kill themselves.
They loved it. It was funny. It was
No,
new.
Xavier was going, wow. By the end of it, it sucked the air out of the room.
It was
I
awesome.
think.
Yes,
No,
that's
it wasn't.
Bond's voice. Of course
I don't
that's
blame
Bond's
anybody
voice,
for
so-
hating it. It's
How could you hate that?
Oh,
How
you have a
humorless
request.
do you have to be?
You have a request
Bond,
for saying
it's-
it live.
It's like
Well,
a sweater
should I-
that gets warmer with age, man.
cleaning out the computer.
Hey, Mo, Greenpoint has a question for you.
Where is it?
Right there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you asking me?
Cleaning out the computer.
There you go.
Good
From the
God.
Motion Lounge.
It's just
Bond,
it
did you
is
not
the-
love that I did the Zuzazoo opening?
I wrote in the private chat. I said, I made that a year and a half ago, I think.
See, they missed you, Bonzi. You like being missed. You're just such a fuck. I hate you.
Oh, man.
I actually hate
if
you
you're
so
on
much.
all the time, you cop so much shit. I read the comments, and they they are absolutely pole-axing you guys over any little mistake gets a comment. So what John was talking about was 1 year before he said it was, or it was 6 months before he said it was. And I'm
Monique,
like, wow.
you are definitely dying. You have some sort of illness. You've been coughing for the longest time now.
Many comments
you really
about
need to
your health.
stop.
Can I thank Boff? He gave me 2 Meet the Sterns now for the first show.
The Boff, I just need to interrupt you. The amount, now that I've been remastering, you and Boff, this guy Boff, have a relationship that has lasted probably, 5 years? Anytime John comes in with a collaboration information, it's always been Boff.
No, you got to, I mean, I got stuff of my own all the time. Steve S is phenomenal, too. Don't ever leave him out. He contacted Monique in the middle of the show with a clip during it. Phenomenal. But he is such a sleuth. I mean, I know he's polarizing and shit, but he comes up with the craziest shit you can't find. He's invaluable for some of this obscure stuff. And he had the 2, out of nowhere, 2 Meet the Stern shows in audio. One of them was lost.
It is literally the only reason that we keep him on the forum.
Only reason.
It's the only reason. It's
only
you,
reason.
Just so you know.
He is a smoky man on the X-Files.
And this is classic sizzle chest.
The Beanie Mac and Boff sitcom is coming up. We're going to do a radio audio play.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, Black Guy.
That actually would be
Boffy
amazing.
Mac.
Okay, so I'm gonna so which clip should
we
I
got
play
we got
first?
Beanie Mac in the chat box. Hey, Black Guy.
Shuli in the Artie chair.
Okay, here we go.
Question from Robert G. Robert asks, what do you plan to do when Howard retires?
Cry a lot. I've said that the Artie chair will most likely be mine when that day happens. I'll be sitting next to it in the dumpster right outside the building. I don't know, man. Howard's been a huge part of my life. Howard is the guy who molded my sense of humor into the style of comedy that I do now, and I can't imagine going through a day and not listening to Howard and him not being there. So
look at Rachel Fine being all tittied out.
It's gonna happen.
So
and it's gonna suck.
Always.
Always. Rachel Fine was always tittied out.
Don't you realize that you need Ronnie and Scott more than they need you in order to sell tickets?
Well, I definitely can tell you that we don't need Scott. Ronnie is definitely the crown jewel in this tour. There is no doubt about that. But I also think that people, there's a difference between a show and a meet and greet. And if you want to go out and see Ronnie and take pictures and say hi and sign some pictures, that's fine. If you're looking for a show experience, I think everybody helps everybody. It is a team effort with everybody filling a role, and yeah, I don't think we'd be selling the tickets that we sell if Ronnie's not on the bill. Absolutely, I'm not delusional. But I don't think as many people would be enjoying the shows like they are if it was just Ronnie and Scott or Ronnie and JD doing an appearance, because then you got people calling and going, yo, what the are they doing? They're just, milking the fans for money and doing nothing.
Oh, so he's trying to say that he's the draw?
His comedy is saving. He's the draw. His comedy is half the draw. Did a phenomenal job on that impromptu Brent interview. I'm telling you, you're tough on yourself. It by itself could be a fascinating listen. We love the minutia, and I couldn't get enough.
Details are hazy.
Details are hazy. Yeah, here we are, Saturday night. Everybody listening to Radio Gunk. So thank you so much for showing up. Hey, thank you, Bon, for actually gracing us with your presence. We know how hard it is for you.
Yay! That's so exciting.
No, she did that to Brent. How great was it? She did that voice to Brent at the most opportune. Oh my God, it was so impromptu. God damn it, it was. She goes, oh my God, they got these little non-disclosures hanging over you, and nobody wants to talk. It's so cute. And he is. He threatens everybody with his little jobs. Oh my God, that's so cute. You'll never work in this business again. Oh my God, you're so cute. Jeremy actually said it. You'll never work. What a cliche. If somebody said that to me in 2013 or in 18, I would laugh. So how could you take that? You will never work in this business. Like, who talks like that anymore?
You know
It's a story for the radio.
When you threaten people who have never had other jobs and they are so scared for their livelihood,
Yes.
and listen, Xavier could be the first one to tell you, any little indiscretion or misdirection that you do on a fucking a set. Well, what will they do? What will they do, Xavier?
What business? There is no business. That
What they'll do is they'll send out the call sheet and your name won't be on it the next day.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a call. It doesn't have a sheet. There is no business.
Okay, so we need a song.
Oh, no.
Johnny.
I don't know. What do we got?
Foo Fighters won in honor of
that's
Taylor
not bad.
Hawkins.
For an entire episode, we should have two Moniques, the actual Mo and the arm Mo. Okay, that would be psychotic. So, no. All right, what are we saying? Oh, Foo Fighters. Oh my God, totally next week. Howard will absolutely mention how the Foo Fighters There Goes My Hero has like over 10 million views. He will say it's all because of him, just so you know. For sure.
I think he's going to go, Robin, who dies on a Friday? Huh? Someone with nothing going on.
Exactly.
The whole weekend.
Yeah, exactly. But Taylor may have fucked himself up, but such is life.
You think 10 controlled substances found in him so far.
10 controlled substances. 10.
I remember every moment of those endless summer nights. Ooh,
That's not him.
I remember.
Sad and tragic.
I just want to
What
throw
was
out.
that?
What was
Beth?
it?
Beefus.
Is that Beth?
Sad
Okay.
and tragic.
I love it. All right, Johnny, give us a song. Foo Fighters. Close us out.
Too alarming now to talk about. Take your pictures down and shake it out. Choose the consequence, say it aloud. Use that evidence, race it around. There goes my hero, watch him as he goes. There goes my hero, he's ordinary.
Woo! I should have worn my Foo shirt today. I'm such a jerk. All right. Thank you, everyone. We adore you. Thanks for hanging with us on Saturday night. Adieu. Thanks for hanging with us tonight. Please join us for any discussion at RadioGunk.com in the forum section. Follow us on Instagram or Twitter at RadioGunk. And don't forget to like this and subscribe to us and hit that little bell so that you know when we're going to have a new show. Thanks.